president this week shared his opinion on the controversy or the conversation about the relevance of the Special Prosecutor's Office in the architecture, the fight against corruption in this country. Well, just after he said that, we got notice of the leak of a draft bill seeking to scrap the Special Prosecutor's Office. Now, this was sponsored by 2 members of parliament, not just members of parliament, but leaders of parliament. I'm talking about the majority leader, Nelson, that's the Mahama Agyarko, and the majority chief whip, Nelson Ross Indafiamepo, who is with us in the studio. But subsequent to that information, the president requested that they, the 2 sponsors, should withdraw that bill. This is what the president said in his opinion about this entire conversation. Take a look.
And so that's why we're resourcing the Economic and Organized Crime Office and the other anti-corruption institutions, including the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And recently, there have been some controversy with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I think it's premature to call for the closure of that office. The unique thing about that office is it is the only anti-corruption agency that has prosecutorial powers to be able to prosecute themselves without going through the Attorney General. And so people had mistrust for the Attorney General because the Attorney General normally is a member of government and is a minister of state. And so they believe that the Attorney General will be very reluctant to prosecute his own. But if there's an independent office like the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it won't matter who you are. Because they have security of tenure and they have prosecutorial powers, whether you're a member of government or you're a member of a previous government or you are anybody who has, misappropriated public funds, they have the law is behind them to be able to prosecute you. So I think we should give them a little time. Of course, people want to see, more prosecutions and more results. And so I'll just urge the OSP to speed up, some of these investigations and, show people that the office is still very.
Please. Well, that's the President, John Dramani Mahama, there with his view on this. Well, Nelson Ross Indafiamepo, this is the President's appeal to you that you, in fact, what informed your decision, first of all, to sponsor you and the Honorable Mahama Agyarko to sponsor this private member's motion to do away with the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Now, we got motivated to table that bill because upon a critical evaluation of the utility value of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we came to the conclusion that it was no longer serving the purpose for which we set it up. Mm-hmm. And nobody should misunderstand me. We have a lot of anti-corruption agencies and statutory bodies. But the Special Prosecutor was set up. I was central to that enactment. Mm-hmm. Even though we were in opposition, I believed in its creation and was hopeful that it was going to handle matters with some speed and alacrity. And also have, you see, the AG hasn't got district offices. So especially when Kissi was appointed, he appeared before us, I think 2022 or 23. I think it was 23. Okay. When he first appeared before us, especially the Public Accounts Committee, when his audit report came, we advised that, look, the AG is in the regions, but the volume of work are in the districts. So if we cannot get the AG to appoint district prosecutors, then you, the special prosecutor, should have regional offices as well as district special prosecutors. So in addition to expeditiously dealing with these matters, you can also have your eyes and ears in the districts. In any case, that is where the matters emanate from. because Accra is not Ghana. And we promised that we were going to roll out, launch massively, and have these structures put in place. It hasn't happened. Kissi will issue long reports about investigations he's conducting. Nothing happens. We are sinking in money. Between 2017, 2018, when we properly set it up, and now, we've sunk nearly over $1 billion. If you want to look at the number of cases he's had, vis-a-vis how much we've given to the office of the Attorney General, Attorney General, that is in Accra, centrally placed, in all the regional capitals with principal state attorneys and senior state attorneys who are handling criminal cases and other cases that come before them in the regions. The utility value or the value for money that is emanating from the office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice in the regions and in Accra far outweigh what we are benefiting as a state from the office of the Special Prosecutor. So Parliament being what it is, and we have support of the Speaker. If you recall, when I raised the matter, and my boss came to amplify it, and Speaker eventually also came to pronounce on it. We determined, the two of us determined that, look, that we must as well, in this year's budget, we just approved in excess of 250 million for his work.
The OSP.
For the OSP. And approve a similar figure for the entire structure for the Attorney General and Minister of Justice.
$250 million.
Yes, Ghana cedis. So we contemplated that if we actually abolish OSP and ask the AG to establish a special division and give him this figure for them to launch into the districts and deal with the matters in a year or two, the number of cases, because we get the number of cases they do from the annual performance audit. The number of cases the AG would be able to dispose or handle and dispose of would have perhaps doubled or tripled. But we don't have the expectations from Kissi. Kissi is not telling us that he's in his mid-term plan. He's opening office in Kumasi, in Tamale, in Wa, in Ho. He's not saying that. He's also not telling us that he's launching to the districts. He wants to be cocoon in Accra. And handling matters and abusing his powers. When lawyers accompany their clients to the office of the OSP, then you go and lock the lawyers up. What befalls the fate of the clients that they take there? So Parliament cannot create an office that will become a monster unto itself and to the citizens. That is the perspective from which we are coming from. But you see, we believe in the wisdom of the president. He's brought a request. So my boss says, the old man has brought a request. We believe in his wisdom. If there will be a reform, we're all looking for a reform. If he will perform better and bring better results, so be it. Otherwise, tomorrow it may not be us. It may be other citizens who will say, and there are other MPs who will say that, by all means, we must do this. You understand?
Right.
So we didn't do this out of malice, out of any ill will. We evaluated his work.
I see.
And we think that the value for money, which has become a cardinal principle for all of us in pursuance of the PFM Act, we are not getting it. The Attorney General doesn't ride around in a bulletproof car. The OSP does. Who is after the OSP?
Well, we just got to know.
No, you are going after people. Who is after you?
We just got to know that he was the
we also just got to know that that was not reported. We also just got to know that those incidents were not reported to the police. Yeah. Your mandate is not to investigate those matters. So if you encounter such issues, report to the appropriate authority.
Assassination attempt on him.
Yeah, assassination attempt is not his mandate to investigate. It's the mandate of the police or the Attorney General. Did they report to his principals?
Well, the Interior Ministry says
given the authority under Section 4 of the OSP Act, he prosecutes matters upon the authorization of the AG. Did he go to speak with the AG that have come under some perhaps not he himself, but some of his directors of divisions, because there is a director for prosecutorial division. I think there's also a director for confiscated assets and all that. He has a lot of directors.
Yeah.
Which of them, if it's he himself, did he discuss with the AG? So let the records be clear that my boss and I are not doing this out of any perceived malice or prejudice. It's purely based on the utility value of the office. So we have this. Look, Parliament is flexing its muscles. I don't know whether you've taken time to study Parliament these days. Our things are open. Every proceeding, committee proceedings is going live. Nearly every activity of Parliament is going live. We want to be accountable to the people, and the people is asking us to hold institutions accountable. If we set you up and give you money, and you don't bring results in pursuance of the purpose for which we set you up, we shall think twice about you.
So you're yielding to the president's wisdom?
We will yield.
Okay.
We will yield.
Will that also help to achieve
because
the end objective?
He's promised, you see, if you read paragraph 3 of his request, he says that he believes this will encourage the OSP to up his game, to do better, to, to
as it were. He's urging him to.
Yes. Of course, it's an edge. If I want to do something, my senior brother Kofi says, no, Roxy, because of ABCD, tone down. But
you listen to me.
Oh, I would. Oh, I would. But ABCD tone down. But in that same vein, I am asking the person against whom you wanted to also take steps, so that tomorrow it may not be inviting an action from you, but it may be another person. We all want the best from our state institutions. That's all. You see, that's why we create them. When we create you for a purpose, you must live up to it. Kissi is performing even 15% below his capacity.
You score him 15 over 100.
Yes. Look, open regional offices, open district offices. Let your presence be felt. You understand?
I see.
Look, corruption and corruption related, if you check the law, it's not only about public officers or politicians, but also private people. Go and check what's happening in procurement. Go and check what's happening in our tax payments. Look, there are a lot of private companies that are not paying taxes.
Or the Honorable Bidris says that request from the president.
You see, that is not tax. That is corruption.
No. I'm coming to
when somebody conceals his profit so that he doesn't pay the appropriate tax, it's not about tax, it's about corruption.
Good. The Honorable Habib Idris says that request by the president, which you have heeded to his wisdom, amounts to interference in the work of Parliament.
No, it does not. Constitutionally, it does. You see, if you understand the ethos of and the spirit of our constitutional jurisprudence that we practice, there's interrelationship. We interrelate.
There's no true separation of powers in the sense of the word.
You see, there's no true separation of power everywhere. Nowhere, anywhere, it doesn't happen anywhere. Even in the US, which is the closest to that doctrine, it doesn't happen. Because there's an interface. Okay. It's like in a Venn diagram. You may be in subsets, but there's a region that is the shaded region. We interface in the shaded region. So if the president thinks that, perhaps like Speaker said, when I said Yindam should go home, he said, no, it is premature. Okay. The president thinks that it is too early for us to do that. And when he says it's too early, you must listen to wisdom. Says it's too early. Perhaps tomorrow it may be timeless enough for that to happen. But for now, if he says it's too early, we have to believe in his wisdom. Okay. In any case, he allocates the resources.
Right.
So
I see. On this part, it doesn't amount to interference. It's because of the wording of request, essentially. But
it absolutely does not amount to interference. It is actually proper. The only thing I would have said was that because of the controversy that it is likely to create, maybe the president should have called Roxanne and privately and then told them to withdraw it. But I also think it's useful for the president to have done it publicly. Let me explain why. So I, for instance, I'm in the middle of all of this.
Right.
Middle because...
So he's not blamed. Yes.
Yeah. See, I support... I was part of the movement that led to the OSP's office being created. And we are conflating the person of Kissi and the office. We should stop that. 2, I support Kissi and his work and the OSP and his work. But I also support Martin.
Right.
And I'm fully with Martin in the petitions that he has, he's working on. And I make this point, and it must be carefully understood. Martin is within his rights to do what he has done, even if he is not right.
To others.
He is within his rights to challenge the OSP, demand accountability, go all out like he's done, even if it is proven later on that he is not right. To that extent, therefore, I have said, and I repeat, the OSP had no jurisdiction to treat him the way they treated him. And I repeat, I've said it elsewhere, that I, for instance, advised Martin that, look, since they don't have any jurisdiction, right to question you, whatever it is, you shouldn't have even gone there.
Right.
Now he went and all of these things happened. Now, these things haven't happened. I still say it does not rise to the point where Roxanne and Co. will now seek to scrap the whole office of the OSP. So, in that extent, I'm defending the OSP. It is the height of opportunism for Roxanne and his colleagues to try and use this to kill off the OSP. And I've said the OSP was specifically created to attack executive corruption, which is where a lot of the big corruption comes. And it is not true that they are given the same budget as the Attorney General. It's not true. The budget is a small fraction of what the Attorney General uses. So a lot has been said. So look, like I said, I'm in the middle of this. Now, that's where presidential power comes in. So listen, Parliament has power to scrap the OSP. Clearly, they had an animus against him, against the office. They don't want it because they are within his hairline. He will shoot at them. So I can understand if Roxanne wants it dead and everybody else. And note that it was a bipartisan agreement. They didn't argue about it. Everyone wanted it. They were telling them, do it quickly. They were even going to do it on emergency. All right? And we said, no, don't do that now. You had a chorus of civil society leaders in unison. In fact, only the people in Parliament were against the OSP. Almost everybody else was for OSP office remaining, even if we backed Martin and said the person there was not the best person. You need to get the nuance.
Sure.
So you have a situation where there are two powers. Parliament does have the power to do what they said they wanted to do. And they were moving very swiftly to do it. Then we in civil society who can only talk, we only have influence. We make the case copiously that this OSP office is only 7 years old. It cannot be that within 7 years you can decide that something, and by the way, this OSP took its powers from the Attorney General because it doesn't have constitutional standing by itself. And the arrangement was that we will go through this constitutional review and properly fit it in the Constitution. So this was a work in progress. And clearly, Professor Prempeh is working on the rest, and hopefully we'll get these things done quickly. All right? If we had a time, it is provable that the OSP indeed has not failed per se. They have just not lived up to the level of expectation that we wanted of them. And this is where I also agree with Martin that, look, if you take the case of Ken Ofori Atta, for instance, which is what led to all the trials of Martin, I have had my issues with that. And I said that the OSP should have been prosecuting. They haven't even charged the man after a year. I had to say it. I spoke plenty.
Yeah, you did.
All right?
That you did.
And I was saying, go and, try him in absentia. It was a debate. Okay? And I was actually challenging the OSP to do even more. Martin is saying the same thing, that how could you sit down under these same, circumstances and let the man just walk away? Yeah? They said all kinds of things. We checked, and when we checked, Martin will tell you they were not true. Okay? Manasseh Azure, who I'm in touch with, all right, will tell you that he is extremely upset with the way the OSP is conducting certain things. He, one man, with a small office and a few journalists, without the facilities of the OSP, has been able to do SML and all these other things. And when you look at the way things are proceeding, it doesn't look like the OSP is serious about what they are doing. So, look, there are issues here and there are issues there. But the chorus with civil society leaders is that you can't throw this baby out with the bathwater. Let's move forward and make it better. Let's solve the problems that Dafia Mekwa is talking about. Let's deal with the issues that Martin is talking about. Dealing with them does not mean killing the OSP. Indeed, if we do, we are going to end up trying to reset the OSP up when the constitutional review thing is done. Then the president does a very good thing. He comes out publicly and throws his weight behind civil society leaders and say, no, I won't sign it. Now, it is not an interference because the president has the ultimate power to decide that Roxanne can hit the roof and drink a gallon of water. Yes. It won't go anywhere. What happened to the you didn't sign. You see, look. So what the president did was a real power play. Okay, and you see what happened to the LGBT thing. What didn't we hear in this country? People were jumping up and down. You passed it. They were. What happened? He didn't sign. Period. Matter finished. We are all where we are. You went to court. Exactly. You can jump up and down, but the president was very, nice about it. Gave reasons. Was polite to write to them. So he gives Roxanne and Co. plausible deniability. If he didn't say it, we'll say Roxanne and Co. chicken out or whatever it is. Now they have cover. Yes. The president says we shouldn't go for it. So now they are saying they are not going for it. That's how you run a country. And for me, I'm happy we have President Mahama where he is. I hope he will shepherd this process, protect the office. But I also hope that all of us will appreciate that Martin Kpebu has the right to do what he's doing. And Martin, now forward the petition to the president. Let us focus on the petition, because it is the president and his system that will deal with the petition. All right? And let's leave this office thing alone. And we'll all urge our colleague Prempeh to finish his work and quickly sort this OSP thing out, so that this donation of power from the Attorney General, which Dafia Beko and Co want to reverse, will all be gone. So we do need an OSP, because the biggest corruption doesn't happen in the district. It happens with the executive and their assigns. And that is what we are looking for the OSP to do. We've talked about the weaknesses inherent in the Attorney General, for which reason he's not able to do as much as we want him to do. Let me add this last point. Look, if even this Attorney General, who I know and trust, goes after his own people, what stops the next Attorney General from issuing a series of nolle prosequis to make nonsense of everything that he does? Sure. So look, we do need an independent prosecutor's office, such as the OSP, that goes between and above governments and has his own power to start and finish a prosecution regardless of who comes into power or who doesn't come into power. So look, we're in a good place right now. I think the chorus about the OSP's office going away should stop. The president has put his foot down. And he has ultimate power, so it's done. I hope we can keep the OSP's office. Now, Martin will proceed with his petition. I hope we deal with the petition properly. And if it turns out that we have to deal with the person of the OSP, let's do so. And I hope Prempeh comes out quickly with the constitutional review thing. Let us set up a proper office. And then with all that has been heard, people must know something. We want that office to succeed. That is why you are getting the pressure you are getting from Martin and Co. And Martin is not alone. So whoever is going to come in, whether it's Kissi or anybody else, know that you are going into a hot seat, and we will demand action from you, knowing that Roxanne and Co. want to kill you. Martin and Co. want you to do the work.
This is deliberate.
And if you don't do the work, all of us will gang up against you. So look, I think we're in a good place as a country.
Perfect.
We need to move on from here.
Great. And just quickly, have you submitted your petition?
Oh, absolutely.
You have?
Yeah. On Thursday.
You have submitted a petition?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
And within, under Section 15 of the law, the president has to submit it to the CJ within 7 days. And then the CJ has 30 days to make a prima facie determination. So
you submitted it on Thursday?
Yes.
To the
so
president.
7 days will end on Wednesday. So it means that even Friday, yesterday, the president could have forwarded it, or Monday, or even today, Saturday. I mean, these things.
He will let us spend Christmas.
No, not Christmas. Hey, this at the time is running.
Oh, he won't do it. This actually is for January.
I see.
So the process will go on.
Yeah,
But the action is
so
right
that
on.
we'll see how it goes.
Thank you very much. And Justice Abdullah, I'm going to come to you on this after this quick break. But Dr. Atta Kennedy says the OSP's challenges have brought corruption to the center of our national dialogue again. There are all kinds of suggestions about how to strengthen the OSP. Most of these isolated measures will not work. They are superficial and piecemeal. Our problem mainly is not our institution, but our character. We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us, all of us. Corruption, which is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain, is a complex, interlocking problem rooted in our culture that require a coordinated, sustained assault. Thank you, Dr. Atta Kennedy. Justice Abdullahi, on the OSP, the president's call and what the way forward should be in the reforms to make the office fit for purpose, for the lack of better expression, in being effective in the fight against corruption.
Right, thank you. So, as my colleagues have said, indeed, the president's action is a highly commendable one. I do not think that throwing away the baby together with the bathwater is a good thing to do. It is always better when we find a state institution that we have invested so much in. I do not think that 7 years in the life of a country should be a basis in judging the quality or otherwise of the OSP. Let's be reminded that indeed this office is not a constitutional body. It is a parliamentary, it's a creation of statute. And so what it means is that it is capable of being removed any day. In fact, you don't even need, particularly if you go under a certificate of emergency, by Monday, if you want to, abolish this office, it will be gone.
Right.
And so it is arguably one of the most weakest, bodies within our statutes, relative to institutions like SRAJ and other bodies, which are constitutionally established. And so this ought to be accepted, and then we move on from there. See how best we can coordinate activities of the OSP, the office, because I believe that it is a potentially great office, and it's a great office because my position has consistently been that it is the only office, if you look at the entirety of all the anti-corruption fighting agencies that we have in this country, it is the only one that serves the interest of the ordinary Ghanaian. And I say so because all the other offices are politically motivated to do the bidding of the politician, if you like.
Right.
Whether they do it in fact or not is a different issue that we can discuss in future. But the OSP is set up such that it is devoid of political interference. In effect, what it means is that if there's any one institution that is going to do all of us a good favor, a good service by protecting the public purse for us as citizens, the OSP is one such institution that is cut out for that. And so protecting that office and strengthening it would be to the good of all of us rather than getting it out. It is actually for that reason that I believe that it shouldn't be thrown out as we sought to do, because the potential benefit is way higher than what we lose, particularly after we have spent so much money setting it up, paying people and establishing the whole office with all the established procedures that have been set up, laid out for that office. Why would we have to throw it away simply because we believe that the occupant of the office is not acting appropriately?
Right.
We can deal with that matter. And I think on one of your stations, I mentioned this, one of your programs, I mentioned that the issues that my brother Martin had raised, for the records, Martin is also my neighbor. And so,
okay.
So
Interesting.
I had consistently, my position had been that because his issues against the occupant of the office borders on corruption, I felt the right thing to do was to have gone to SRAJ or Iyoko rather than going back to the same OSP, because asking the person.
So they invited him.
Oh, okay. I thought he sent. I thought you sent the petition there.
No. The petition for his removal is gone to the president.
No. The allegation about his corrupt.
I thought we were willing to give it to the board, but not he.
So that's what I was saying. That maybe it should have gone to SRAJ or Iyoko, because they would then have, because they also have anti-corruption mandates. So they would then investigate.
Okay.
I don't know.
But when that's not criminal.
That's not criminal. That I agree.
Right.
That one is not criminal. Okay. But that could also get him removed.
Yeah.
It could get him removed.
But when you have done, SRAJ cannot directly remove him. You still have to go to
SRAJ would make a recommendation, as it did in Richard Anan's case. It will make a recommendation which could potentially.
You said potentially.
Potentially, yes. Okay. That is with the president. So, but going to the same person who you are...
That's the OSP investigating
itself.
Okay.
It puts it in a very difficult situation.
Thank you.
And it makes it difficult for first off, you can never have any fairness. I mean, asking me to investigate myself cannot be fair, which is why Martin himself has been complaining that he cannot accept that. Unfortunately, because you went there, it's difficult for you to say that someone else from outside should come and investigate him.
Thank you.
And so, I mean, these matters, I believe we can deal with them and then possibly strengthen the office and get a better out of them.
Dr. Ato, your view is quite known on this, that you want it scrapped. The president has stated his view and also the request to have it strengthened to do his work effectively. Doc.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as I said, my position is known, so I am not going to restate that again.
Yes.
But this week, in this particular debate, it settled something. It created winners, big winners, and it created big losers when you come to this particular debate. I'm going to try to explain who are the big winners, who are the big losers, and why are these people losers, why did they lose? The biggest winners are the CSOs that stood up to support the office and His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana. President John Dramani Mahama is, I can say, is a direct victim of this office. This office investigated him. So he alone and his lawyers can tell us what it means to be fully investigated by the OSP. He went through the grill. Let me say he suffered, he did whatever. So from a personal perspective, he can say that this is what I went through and I went this office off now that I have the power. He didn't choose that option. The CSOs went to him and they said, who cried with him? But he says, look, despite all its flaws, despite whatever it has, the office can be part of the solutions to fighting corruption in this country. So I am not going to, don't let it be said that under my regime as president of the republic that I remove this independent body. By doing that, the president, and also remember, this office is one of the legacies of His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo Addo. Like it or not, history is going to say that it was under Nana Addo Akufo Addo that this office was established purposefully to fight corruption. So he could have also taken it off the plate of Akufo Addo so that, look, 10, 20 years, 30 years down the line, when this office now becomes very effective, very efficient and is doing the things, so that they will not ascribe him what to Akufo Addo. He could have denied his place at the bit. He ignored everything. He stood on a principle. He said, because of that, and for all the people that helped him to get there, he becomes the biggest winner, one of the biggest winners on this particular debate, on this particular issue. That's the two. The biggest losers in this particular thing when it came becomes the majority leader, Mahama Yarega, and the majority with Roxanne Dafiamakpo here. They are the biggest losers, and also the majority in parliament. They're the biggest losers in this particular debate when it comes to this week. They're the losers because they did not put the country first, they put their personal partisan interest first when it comes to this big. They're the biggest losers because they were scared, or they are getting scared about what happened. They were running on the whims and caprices of the public opinion. They just look at what people were saying and they did it. The other reason why they are the losers is this. Oral has become a massive and a colossal failure. The political promises made by Oral have failed massively. As someone say, it has toy in swim. The monies we were supposed to get from Oral up to now, they have toy in swim. The people that were supposed to have been arrested and prosecuted by Oral, they have toy in swim. So now people are not looking for a victim and escape. So the OSP is not becoming an escape route to redirect the anger of the people to OSP. See OSP because, look what has the Oral done so far. If you are doing a, how do you call it, an analysis of what the value for analysis of OSP. What is the value for analysis for Oral? Oral was what? A campaign promise, a major campaign promise. We will retrieve the loot. How much of the loot has been retrieved? Okay. We've not heard that. So even some of the figures used in Oral were cooked. We've heard that some of them were wrong. We said that some of them were just mere pictures, so not justiciable. So it means you cannot even prosecute them. So Oral was the one that was brought in. Oral has failed colossally, and it's a major failure. So let's look for a next target. Let's look for a softer target. Let's now move the anger of the people away from Oral to OSP. And the politicians did that. By doing that, they were not putting the nation in charge, and that is the biggest thing. Today, we have a president who, let's say, has rescued it. Today, we have OSPs and other people. I always say, Manasa is listening to other people. They have all come to say that the people who have actually faced the OSP, they have all come and said, yes, It may have its flaws. It may have this, but they are not qualified for it to be sacked. I'm the only one saying that they should sack it and give me one of the armor cars and take the monies to my village. But then, so let me say, look, we have to be able to say that, look, Parliament, this week you did not cover yourself in glory. Both in the demonstration that happened inside the fighting that like small is good entertainment, and also in the way you threatened this thing, and also in the lithium deal. If you look at these three things and how they happened, in fact, on two occasions, the president had to come in to bail out the majority leader.
Okay.
And to bail out the majority in parliament. In all these cases, the parliament, it really takes the president to supervise you when it should have been the other way around, the legislature doing that.
Thank you very much. Let's go to Manasseh has, in fact, you referenced Manasseh. Manasseh has been listening to you. Manasseh has really winning. We had some gentlemen. Hold on. Thank you. We had some technical hitches, but Manasseh is fine. Manasseh, just a quick input into this about what the next phase of the OSP's work should be in terms of strengthening the office to do and to meet the expectations of Ghanaians and its mandate in the fight against corruption.
Well, thank you, Alfred. I think I support the president's call to get the office to continue, but I also like the way the president puts it. He doesn't only does a blind support, but also calls for the office to live up to its name. I said in 2024 in my book that the office is yet to be special in its description. What Ghanaians expect is very simple. This office was not brought in to do theatrics. All the other things they claim to be doing were already being done. I pointed out last week on a different show that even CSOs were able to save over $1 billion in the Eka energy deal. CSOs were those who fought and defeated the Ejapa minerals deal before even Matamidu came in to do his corruption assessment. And over the years, works by journalists have been saving hundreds and millions of dollars. What we need the office to do is to be able to do prosecution. And we shouldn't be satisfied with we have this number of cases in court. Those who followed me over the course of this week would realize that I did publish my frustration about the PPA case, which was referred to the office in 2019. This case got to a point I was called to testify. I was cross-examined by two sets of lawyers for a year and a half. And then the case was finally dropped, refiled again, and there was no single new charge. And a strong charge with direct evidence of procurement influence was dropped. And they came back to me in October this year to come and testify again. And my question was, why did you drop the charges, file there's no new charge? Why did you drop this charge where Shraj's report with evidence shows clear direct influence? Why have you never dealt away or touched the money that were found in this man's bank accounts? Even though you are charging others for money laundering, you have not even traced this man's assets. And Kissi Agyabeng told me he would respond in 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, he had no answers. He said, after a month, he told me he didn't still have answers and he was overhauling the case and he didn't mind refiling again. And if that happens, it will be the third time one case is being filed and refiled. And we are looking at a 2019 issue, which is going on to 2026. So if you are someone who follows something like this, you obviously will not be happy with the office. And so going forward, my expectation is that nobody is putting a gun to their heads to go to court. Make sure your investigation is concluded. And if you have to amend charges, there should be a good reason to do that. Otherwise, you'll be spending so much money prosecuting the same case. the case is delaying, and this time it's not the courts, it's not even the defense lawyers. It is the OSP which has held on to this case. So these issues and others are those that I think we may need to find solutions to, and perhaps in-house too, because if you speak to sources close to the office, they tell you not all is well, even among the staff. So the disunity and kind of cliques and others don't mean well for an office that should unite and fight corruption. So these are things that the office should look at and let Ghanaians begin to see results. Okay. Prosecutions is an office to prosecute. All the other things were already being done. It shouldn't be another scarecrow and then we would just be saying, well, but for the office, people could have been doing ABC. Right. We need to see tangible results.
And I do thank you so much for this input. Very important indeed. Manasseh Azure is a key witness in one of the investigations that a OSP is doing. Yes, petitions submitted. That one, you know, the president doesn't really have any bearing on whether or not it goes through. He's just a conveyor belt, right? Yes. So what are the reforms you want to see maybe going for the next couple of minutes? Yes.
Number one, we have to reform the law in such a way that when a petition is presented to the Office of Special Prosecutor, the Special Prosecutor doesn't have powers to sit on it. He doesn't have powers to suppress cases like what he did in the SML case. You see, Kissi Agyabeng used to work for Ofori Atta. He worked for Gabby. These people paid him money. So he has money business with them. A petition comes against SML and it's Ofori Atta who is looming larger. Then he sits on it from December 2023. The whole of 2024 doesn't do anything. Then 2025, after he's aided Ofori Atta to bolt, now he says he's commencing investigations on 29th of January 2025. Right. I hope you've seen the diary of action. It's all over. Check yes. Online. You see? So all along, Kissi was lying to us. Oh, and before I continue, you see that I wrote to National Security to find out about whether Kissi Agyapong came there to ask them to help him arrest Ofori Atta. They said no. So the first change is that have a committee that will receive the petitions, not one man who can hide it in his jacket. Number two, the reverse burden. Ghana, we used to have this law in the 60s, where for corruption cases, if we find money with you, etc., it's your burden to explain how you found it. Like now that we have it for money laundering offenses. Let's change the law to extend it to corruption offenses. Okay? Then, number three, you also... Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, number three. Finish the third point.
Okay. So now let's also look at how to enhance the asset declaration law, right? Because it's a key tool for fighting corruption. So government needs to pass that law. It's an IMF conditionality, so that we'll have a new institution for asset declaration, so that when these assets are published, the assets are declared, they will be published, so that people in Boku online, Zwarungu, wherever, each axim, any part of the country, you go online, you can see the assets declared. So that if there are any discrepancies, you can draw the attention of the authorities involved. Then you can help massively in fighting corruption. It's right. A few. For the OSP specifically, of course, we've run out of time, yeah. So indeed. We would.
And then this one from a message says, I have been alerted that the Honorable Bawumia mentioned that the Special Prosecutor has no plans to open regional offices. It says this is inaccurate. The half-year reports of the office mention plans to open offices Tamale, Kumasi and Takoradi.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.